Write your first Azure DevOps Terraform code for Azure Resource Deployment. Hello all. Welcome to ASN AZ Labs YouTube channel. Are you looking for your first Terraform code to deploy resources in Azure? If yes, please watch this video. Here I can help you all to set up a Terraform infrastructure with Azure and Azure DevOps. Using Terraform, define your infrastructure as code with declarative configuration files that can be used to create, manage and update infrastructure resources, such as virtual machines, VMs, networks and containers. Use the Terraform configuration language to easily automate these resource management across your infrastructure. Before we proceed, we must know few things about HashiCorp Terraform on Azure. This is an open source tool for provisioning and managing cloud infrastructure. It codifies infrastructure in configuration files that describe the topology of cloud resources. These resources include virtual machines, storage accounts, and networking interfaces and so on. Terraform's template-based configuration files enable us to define, provision, and configure Azure resources in a repeatable and predictable manner. We can set up Terraform in Azure in different methods. As our title suggests, we will go with Azure DevOps. So let's take a look how can we set up a Azure DevOps infrastructure as a code with Terraform. As this is an open source tool, it supports almost all cloud providers including AWS and Google Cloud. In Azure, how can you deploy your first resource group via Terraform and Azure DevOps? Are you stuck at somewhere? I know, you are. These are the 7 important aspects you need to set up as primary. First, an Azure account. Second, an Azure DevOps account. Third, create a service principal app registration in Azure AD for Azure DevOps. Fourth, contributor role for your Azure DevOps SP. Fifth, create service connection in Azure DevOps and authenticate against Azure subscription. Sixth, create a storage account container in Azure for Terraform state files. Seventh, install and configure VS Code on your laptop or desktop. If you have all these 7, you are good to start. Let's take a look at few from above. What is Service Principal in Azure? Azure Service Principal authorizes third entity to make changes on your Azure infrastructure. Here Azure DevOps and Terraform. After creating Service Principal, add a new client secret. Capture the Azure SP secrets, tenant ID, object ID and subscription ID. As this is required in the Azure DevOps, to set up service connection. Assign contributor RBAC role for your Azure DevOps Service Principal. This role provides full rights to create, modify resources in your Azure tenant. Service connection in Azure DevOps. Set up a service connection between your DevOps account and Azure tenant, authenticates in Azure AD. What is a service connection? Service connections enable us to connect to Azure tenants to execute tasks in a job, example create a resource group in Azure or delete a resource in Azure. Create a Terraform state file storage account container in your Azure subscription. Terraform must store state about your managed infrastructure and configuration. This state is used by Terraform to map real-world resources to your configuration, keep track of metadata, and to improve performance for large infrastructures. Terraform uses this metadata to understand the existence of your resource in Azure tenant. Finally, configure VS Code as a code editor on your laptop or desktop. Visual Studio Code is a source code editor made by Microsoft for Windows, Linux and Mac OS. You can download and install it from Microsoft websites. VS Code extensions enable us to connect to Azure DevOps repos and write Terraform code with right syntax. A detailed demo video will upload shortly for each of the above. Thank you for watching. Please share your valuable comments in comment section.
If you like the content, please like, subscribe, and enable the bell button, and kindly provide your valuable feedbacks and comments. Thank you.